In this video, I'll be talking to you about how living in survival mode literally rewires your brain. I've got 10 different ways your brain gets rewired, which I'm going to share with you. It literally changes the way your brain works, okay? Which means you're not really being yourself. You're not being authentic. You're being this survival version of you, which is not the true you. So I'll give you these 10 points I've got, and I hope it'll raise your awareness around your own survival patterns and see how your brain is doing a lot of this and it shouldn't be doing it. Okay. And when you have the awareness, that's the first step to breaking free. So I'm going to dive right into them. I've got them on my phone here. I'm just going to run through them. So the first one is living in survival mode shapes your identity. So oftentimes people in survival develop kind of a persona or a mask. Something like a people pleaser or a nice guy or a perfectionist. These are usually a kind of way of dealing with being in survival. Because when I'm in survival, life doesn't feel safe to me. But if I can be a people pleaser or very nice to people, then in some way I can manage my life better. If I'm always pleasing everybody and saying yes to everyone, then I'm less of a threat. That means people will not see me as a threat. And if people don't see me as a threat, that means they will not attack me. They will not do anything to me. They'll let me go. But obviously you can see that that's a very disempowering way to be. Because yeah, people might not see you as a threat, but it leaves you powerless. You don't have a voice anymore because you're just doing and saying things. So people won't see you as a threat. Because your system cannot deal with any potential threats in survival. You're trying to avoid all threats. And that puts you into this kind of weird personality type. And the sad thing is, a lot of people with these fake personalities believe that's who they are. I'm a people pleaser. That's just who I am. I'm very submissive. That's just who I am. It is not who you are. It's just the way that you've tried to deal with being in survival mode. A common one I see here a lot actually is people who think they're an introvert. Now, there are introverts out there, obviously, but I think a lot of people who believe they're introverts are probably not. They're just in survival, and being introverted and quiet is one way they learned how to deal with being in survival mode, right? So then they attach that identity to themselves and think, that's just who I am. I don't believe that is who you are. So anyway, moving on to the second one on my list is in survival mode, your brain's always going to make you play it safe. You'll be very risk averse. In survival, the unknown, anything new is a potential threat, right? That's how your brain makes sense of it. So it'll make you avoid anything new. And this is difficult, especially if you want to change your life, because now you get conflicted. Because if you want to change your life, it means that would be something new. But everything in you is scared of experiencing something new because the new might be unsafe. So your system will do whatever it can to stay in the known, to avoid the unknown. Right? It's a very kind of conflicting place to end up. This is why a lot of people can't change their lives. I believe they're stuck in survival. So how are you going to bring in something new if that's what you're terrified of at the same time? Okay, so moving on to the next one is, if you're in survival, you'll be very emotionally reactive. You can see this in real time. Go onto Instagram and look up some kind of political post and read the comments, and you'll see loads of people getting very, very reactive. That's a sign that they are living in survival. Most of the common reactions are like fear, anger, defensiveness. Because in survival you don't feel safe, these reactions become automatic, right? I have to attack the other person. I have to get angry at other people. When actually there's no threat there, because you feel so unsafe, now some stranger on the internet has become a threat to you. You'll see it everywhere, right? Controversially, I believe the majority of human beings on this planet are living in survival. The evidence is right there. And there's no emotional intelligence there. There's no kind of emotional mastery. If I read something and it sets me off, there's no mastery there. There's space, or there should be space, between the stimulus and then your response to it. And that space is where you will find the peace. Well, people in survival, there's no space there. They see something, it's automatic reaction. Just pay attention to it, right? Try to find the space in between. So moving on to the fourth point I have here, you will be spiritually disconnected in survival mode. So in survival, it doesn't matter how many times you pray, how many religious books you read, or whatever kind of religion you follow, you cannot have any connection to God or any spiritual connection, right? Controversial, I know. But if you know anything about spirituality, your mind and your heart need to be in a certain state for you to have any type of spiritual connection. Now, in survival mode, your heart and your brain are not in that aligned state where you can have a higher connection to God. They're not there, right? You're living in a much lower state of consciousness. Again, it doesn't matter how many religious books you read or how often you pray. It really literally does not matter. The only way to truly find God is when you bring peace to your system. And until you get there, God isn't real for you. So moving on to the fifth one I have on the list is controlling. Again, when you're in survival, literally your mind and body will do whatever it can to keep you safe. And one of the main ways we do this is through controlling. So if I control my experience as much as I can, if I micromanage everything and plan everything, then it feels like I've got control. It gives me this illusion of control. Essentially, this is where anxiety comes from. An anxious person is scared of losing control. That's why they get anxious. This is what a lot of people in survival are doing, trying to control everything. The reality is you can't control much of life. You don't even control most of your bodily functions. So this idea that you can control it all, you have to start to learn to let go and trust. But that's a topic for another video. I just want you to pay attention to how you are probably quite controlling as well. Because you have to be. You don't have to be, but that's how you try to manage this feeling of unsafety. So then moving on to the sixth one, in survival mode, your mind will be very tunnel visioned. Okay? Most of your energy will go on keeping you safe right here, right now, right? Where you are now, all your energy goes, I need to be safe, because your system doesn't feel safe. So like I said, you'll be controlling and things. All that energy you use to keep you safe is the energy you need to change your life. Okay? Again, one of the reasons people can't change their life, because all of their energy is gone into safety. It's not until you start to actually regulate your system and find real safety, free that energy up. Now you have energy to do something else. Now you have energy to pursue your goals. But it's very difficult to work towards long-term plans if you're in survival mode. You just don't have the energy for it. Okay? Survival mode is a very energetic, energy-consuming state to be in all of the time, right? It's literally depleting your energy. Okay, so moving on to the eighth one I've got on here, overthinking. Again, living in survival, we find ways of dealing with the discomfort of it. And the discomfort of it makes us go into our minds. So if I'm feeling unsafe, my brain is literally going to try and help me be safe by trying to figure something out. Because you believe if I figure it out in my head, then that'll bring peace to my body. But unfortunately, speaking as someone who has struggled a lot with overthinking, that doesn't work, right? You can keep thinking and ruminating, going on mental loops, and you'll probably never figure it out. But ultimately, you're just trying to bring peace to the system. Your mind's trying to help you. It can't do it though, right? You probably need to work more with body-based practices that work directly with the body, okay? Then that lets the mind let go a little bit. It stops trying to figure everything out, okay? You have to get okay with not knowing. You have to get okay with the unknown, being at peace almost with the unknown. That's one of the biggest healing things you will experience as you heal. You have to be okay with not knowing. The other one I've got on the list here, you will be less happy. You will literally be unhappy, because living in survival means you are clinging too tightly. Happiness comes in spontaneity. Happiness comes in kind of letting go and trusting a bit, allowing them higher emotions to just naturally come up. In survival, that's the last thing you want to do, right? It's too scary to let go and be spontaneous. I used to be the least spontaneous person ever, right? It's only when I started to heal, I realized that, oh my God, this is actually suppressing my happiness. I can't be happy till I start to let go a little bit, right? Survival mode is not the time to be happy. It's a time to survive, right? So it's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to be happy in survival. Now, moving on to the 9th one on the list here is you will have difficulty trusting other people. Obviously, human beings are the most unpredictable things on this planet. If you're living in survival, unpredictability is something that you are allergic to. So people, I don't want any of that, because they can do whatever, right? They can do the craziest things. Therefore, you will probably seclude yourself, stay alone. Relationships feel too threatening. Ultimately, I hope you will start to learn to take the steps to gradually build trust with the right people. I'm not saying you go around trusting everybody, but you learn to build trust, right? Gradually, slowly. And if people don't betray your trust, you trust them a little bit more, and that's how it builds, right? But this is a big one for people in survival. It's almost impossible to trust someone else because humans, they're just too unpredictable. Now, the final one I've got on the list here is in survival mode, your brain will always be scanning for threats, okay? Because you don't feel safe. You need to ensure your safety and your survival by constantly scanning what is going on around you, right? I talked about this in another video where we all have a threat detection system. And that threat detection system should just be working in the background, like a background software. If you're in survival, it's become the predominant program. And it's constantly trying to detect things. Imagine your mind has this pattern recognition system. It does have a pattern recognition system. So when it sees something it identifies or it's familiar with it, it brings it to your attention. The thing with it when it's working under threat is you'll start to bring things into your attention that are not even threatening. Just small things. It's not even threatening really to anybody else, but because your system's on high alert, this threat detection's on high alert, it's picking up on small things. It's making you kind of really zone in on them. Usually as well, there's a negative emotion attached to this pattern recognition system, because once there's a match, it'll usually trigger a negative emotion, fear, anger, resentment, or whatever. So pay attention to how your brain is doing this. It's constantly scanning for threats. Okay, so they are the 10 different ways your brain or mind gets reprogrammed from survival mode. Like I said, none of these are authentic to who you are. It's like your body has literally hijacked your brain and made it see things in a very skewed way. You are literally seeing life like you were living 2,000 years ago in a very dangerous time, in a very dangerous place, right? Where your safety was literally under threat, immediate threat. And naturally, that's going to really change you and make you lose sense of who you are. That's the saddest thing, okay? But there is freedom from this, and I really just wanted to give you these 10 points so you can begin to recognize them in your own experience, okay? So that is everything I have to talk about. If you did enjoy the video, if you have anything to add, any comments, any questions, hit me up down below. If you want to watch more things like this, check out these videos right here. But until next time, God bless.